Good news coming in now from NBC. Senate passes $1.7 trillion government funding bill that overhauls U.S. election law. This is fantastic news for every single Republican, because as we all know, Mitch McConnell said that the biggest priority for Americans is making sure that Ukraine gets $45 billion of our money to protect themselves. Meanwhile, the southern border is collapsing, and where we have some kind of, let's just call it deterrence in Arizona, the governor has agreed to capitulate to Joe Biden and remove the makeshift border barrier that they put up. Look, I can't say I'm surprised the omnibus has passed, and by a large margin. The Republican Party is a bunch of swamp monsters. Now, the Democrats, we know, are going to back this bill because they're basically cultists as it is, and this is part of their ethos. Take power, spit on your constituents, nothing else matters. Republicans, at the very least, have to maintain some kind of messaging. So, of course, even Kevin McCarthy was rejecting the omnibus. A lot of people were surprised by that because he's basically an establishment shill. But you see, pressure works. The leftist cult will vote for any Democrat for any reason. None of them will oppose any of this. No, don't get me wrong. There's a handful of leftists who reject the establishment. But I'm saying their voter base, they don't care. $1.7 trillion. Okay. I'll tell you why this should matter to you. Because it means that if you've been saving up for that new laptop, it's now going to be harder to buy. But they hope you don't notice and you don't care. But inflation's through the roof. Here's what you do. Here's the test. Go on Amazon. Find the thing you want that you're saving up to get. Maybe you need a new computer for work, right? A tablet. Select it. Place it in your shopping cart. And then just wait. Let's say you need to save up $500. So you say, okay, I'm going to put it in my shopping cart and I'm going to wait. I guarantee you this. In a few weeks' time, when you're finally close to paying for that device, you will see the price has gone up. I know because it's happened to me. Because I'll go onto these stores, I'll try and buy something, or I'll forget to check out or something like that. And then I come in later and it's like, notice the price has increased. That's what they're doing. And what is in this omnibus bill? Well, there have been many Republicans, not most of them, that have been trying to go through this to figure out where they're dumping your money, where they're extracting the value from your savings and who they're sending it to. And there's like the corporate press, Ukraine. How about that? Billions upon billions of dollars extracted from your buying power. And they hope you don't notice. But they don't care about you. Rand Paul had an epic takedown of why this matters. Because they had 9 to 10 months to come up with a bill and get it to everyone to read. Instead, they give them a day or two to read through 4,000 plus pages to figure out whether or not they're voting on it. And you know what all of these people do? They march in lockstep. Do you know where your money is being sent? Do you care that the southern border is being ran through? I saw a post from, I think it was Vosh, leftist guy, and he said, a conservative needs to explain to me why I should care about this. And it's just like it's a video of the southern border being just run through by the largest migrant group ever. Or I believe that's what they were claiming. And I'm like, well, aside from the fact that most young women who are on those journeys get abused physically, and I mean like very seriously, aside from the fact that they're trafficking in lethal drugs, killing people, leaving people to die in the desert, it's disruptive to the working class. Yeah, I get it, though. Vosh is probably making a good enough amount of money that he doesn't know or care what it means to be working class. And the Democrats, as most of you know, they want their serf class. They want low-income people coming from across the border so they can work these laptop class jobs. Well, let's talk about these problems. These are the problems. We should be supporting the American people. Instead, we're dumping money into foreign countries for war that none of us want. We're refusing to secure the border when everyone basically wants it. And none of these politicians have your back. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com to become a member and support our work. At timcast.com, you can click that beautiful Join Us button. As a member, you'll get access to exclusive uncensored episodes of Timcast IRL, but more importantly, You're just generally supporting what we're working on. We are working on our first coffee shop so we can create a physical location people can hang out at. That way they can share ideas, families can come in, and I hope we can set up hundreds of these in the future so that we have something pushing back on the woke establishment. We're not going to put, leftist symbols in our windows. We're going to put Molon Labe in our windows. And when we have 1,000 chains all across the country, it's going to be really funny when people walk up to the window and there's a big old Molon Labe flag. That's why you should become a member. If you think what we're doing is cool, we'll do our best to keep pushing. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share this show with your friends. Let's grab this story from NBC News. They say, the Senate voted on Thursday to pass a $1.7 trillion government funding bill, sending it to the House to avoid a holiday shutdown. The vote was 68-29 on sweeping legislation that will keep the government funded through next fall and overhaul election laws in an attempt to prevent another January 6th. Now, surprisingly, even Rand Paul was in favor of that. I have some arguments. It came after votes on a potpourri of amendments, including landmark workplace protections for pregnant and breastfeeding employees. I'm sorry, I thought it was chest feeding, NBC News. The bill also includes nearly $45 billion of additional military, economic, and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. That's right. From start to finish, from top to bottom, this omnibus is bold, generous, far-reaching, and ambitious, Chuck Schumer said. It's not everything we would have wanted, of course, when you're dealing in a bipartisan, bicameral way. You have to sit down and get it done. And that means each side has to concede some things. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that election change. What they've done is an end run around Congress. By putting these legislative changes into a funding bill, they force it through. And these Republicans are so pathetic that they'll just go along with it. Mitch McConnell is a Democrat, okay? Now, I can already hear the Democrats being like, no, he's not. He's not one of us, dude. He loves you guys. McConnell and McCarthy are both Democrats as far as I'm concerned. Fine. What I mean to say is they are part of the uniparty, the establishment that will always vote in its interests and against the interests of the American people. Yeah, that is the corrupt swamp monster agenda. The legislation has divided the Republican Party, with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky endorsing it and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy of California pushing to torpedo it as he courts right-wing votes to become Speaker. Vote them all out. I don't care. And this is exactly why people are telling Marjorie Taylor Greene no. MTG, I like MTG, but she came out and endorsed Mitch McConnell. And she said, here's the things that Mitch McConnell has pledged to do for us. And I'm just like, okay. I can respect the reformer approach to a certain degree because I hold many of those views. But I'm just kind of like, I don't care if McCarthy comes out and opposes the omnibus because it's meaningless platitudes. I mean, the dude comes out and says, we're not going to do this, knowing it's going to happen anyway. I don't believe that dude will do anything better for us, for the American people. Mitch McConnell certainly won't, so I am uninterested. Let me say it this way. With all due respect to Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'll tell you why I will never support Kevin McCarthy, and it's quite simple. I am not a Republican. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. I don't like the establishment two-party system. I don't care for your party leadership. I don't care for suckling the teat of some dude because of a ranking position. They're all garbage politicians, and they all need to be voted out. I would rather see a reckoning for the Republican Party and Kevin McCarthy lose the speakership to a Democrat than get behind these garbage politicians. I don't care about who is the speaker. You know why? Let me clarify. I don't care if it's the establishment Republican or the establishment Democrat, because you're coming to me and you're saying, would you like to support a uniparty establishment shill or a uniparty establishment shill? And I say, yo, I'm not a Republican. You are lucky I vote for you in the first place. So when I see people like Kevin McCarthy lose and the Democrats win the speakership, I'm just like, why would I care? if the same party is in control the entire time? So, again, I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm saying that to McCarthy. I do. I think MTG is a good person. I humbly disagree. And sorry, I do have a plan. And that plan is avoid at all costs garbage like McConnell and McCarthy. For too long, they have gutted and ripped this country to shreds. They don't speak for the people. They certainly don't speak for me. And that is not me saying that as some kind of Trump supporter, because I barely support that guy as it is. No, I will tell you why I'm pissed off. Because I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. And I expect from those seeking to challenge the establishment consistency. You know, I suppose the argument is Kevin McCarthy will give us some stuff. Again, I can respect that. MTG says that there's no plan for the Never Kevins. They just don't want Kevin. I'm like, I have a plan. Send a bone-chilling message to the establishment. We would rather see the Democrats take the speakership in a Republican-controlled Congress than give you one more inch. Why is it that it's the fault of those opposing McCarthy? Why is it not the fault of those who refuse to allow a real America First candidate to be the speaker? Why isn't it their fault? I'm going to say it again. You know what? I'll tone it down. I'll tone it down for all of you. I don't know nothing about no Kevin McCarthy. I ain't supporting the establishment. Have a nice day. That's it. That's all that matters to me. And then you're going to come out and be like, but dude, if McCarthy comes in, he's saying he's going to get his investigation. I don't care. I literally don't care. But you know, if he's in, he's going to, FBI, Twitter files, don't care. It's not going to happen. They're lying to you. I ain't falling for it. And I just don't care. It's all the same group of people. All the same people who go behind closed doors and pat each other on the back. And then, look, I don't believe that he actually opposes the omnibus bill. Don't know. Don't care either way. I'm not a Republican. If y'all think you're going to win over people like me, you're wrong. I barely supported Trump in 2020. No, don't get me wrong. What I mean is I certainly got behind his policies and voted for the guy. But what you need to understand is it wasn't until like August and he puts out his agenda and says school choice, banning wokeness in government contracts, ending foreign war. And I was like, all right. I'm going to vote for this. You come to me now with everything and you think I'm going to vote for this? No. I'm going to tell you why it ain't happening. Let me play for you this video. I want you to hear this so you can really understand.
Making sure the Defense Department can deal with the major threats coming from Russia and China, providing assistance for the Ukrainians to defeat the Russians. That's the number one priority for the United States right now, according to most Republicans. That's sort of how we see the challenges confronting the country at the moment.
Oh, okay. That's how Republicans see it. Okay. And this is why I'm not going to support these people. And this is why I'm not going to vote for someone who does. That's just it. Plain and simple. You will not get support from me. Mitch McConnell saying that the priority for America is helping Ukrainians. Look, man, I got Ukrainian friends. I think Ukraine is an awesome country. I think what Russia is doing is horrible. But I'm pretty sure the priority for me and most Americans is to make sure most Americans are making it through tough times. I'm pretty sure the issue is people who are losing their jobs. I'm pretty sure the issue is people who are losing their homes. I'm pretty sure the issue is hyperinflation in the United States. I'm pretty sure the issue is not for most Americans sitting there in their squalor, struggling to pay their bills, going, well, but at least we're giving our money to Ukraine. You want to vote for that stuff? Fine. Go ahead. I don't care. I ain't doing it. You can come out and scream to the high heavens, we have to support McCarthy and McConnell. And I'm going to be like, bro, I'm not a Republican. You're not talking to me. I ain't on your team. You got to give me some real solutions. And these people ain't it. So have a nice day, man. Look, do your thing. Congratulations. When you win, you win. But good luck winning without the support of the moderates who are sick of the establishment, because you ain't winning over us. Here's what I see. The ticking border time bomb. 1,000 migrants in the largest caravan in history crosses the Rio Grande into El Paso, with huge numbers being released onto the streets in just 9 days until Title 42 ends. You know, they say that these videos are some of the biggest we've ever seen. And I'm sitting here like, if you have no borders, you have no country, man. It's just plain, it's very, very simple. I got no beef with any of these people. I wish these people the best. I really do. But you can't just break in, take our stuff, and think we'll sit here and say, yeah, it's fine. So Vosh asks, why should I care about this? I can give you a bunch of reasons why you should care about it, my friend. Let's start with the humanitarian angle. A lot of these people die. These young women, overwhelmingly, raped multiple times. Okay, so the black market smuggling and human trafficking, bad thing in general. There's a question for you. Is human trafficking a good or bad thing, Vosh? I'm not trying to be cute. I'm saying obviously you think it's a bad thing, right? Okay. Well, in that case, there's the number one reason why you should be opposed to this. Because coyotes, human traffickers, are smuggling people across the border and they're raping young girls. That's horrifying. A lot of these people die. That's horrifying. Then you have something I think Vosh probably doesn't care about. And that's decorum, that we try to maintain a system of order and law so that we can learn to live together and we can have stability. Well, with that being broken and disrupted, I'll tell you what happens. There's a bit I was reading about with the Civil War where a contributing factor was the South saying the Fugitive Slave Act, which I think was something in like the 1850s, or actually way earlier than that, I believe. They say it's not being upheld. The federal government passed a bill saying that if a slave escapes from the South and goes to the North, that person must be returned. I actually think it's a good moral thing that nobody was doing that. But it did create a potential for civil war. Why? When the federal government did not enforce that law, the South said, okay, if the law's not being enforced, why should we be party to your system of laws? And there creates a very serious problem. Now, as I stated already, when it comes to civil war, it's like, yeah, well, too bad, dude. That is a moral failing to an extreme degree that slavery had persisted as long as it did. And it was right to allow human beings not to be enslaved, to allow them to be free. But you see the point. Instability. I'm not saying right now that with the southern border, law and order is the definitive reason. But I'm saying for many people, it is a reason. Now, I don't think this issue is as morally reprehensible as slavery. Slavery, I think, is clear cut. Our morals say individuals have rights. Our Constitution says it. So when they were trying to own people, it's like, yeah, no, you're wrong on that one. Now, hold on there a minute. This is a different moral issue. These are people outside of our society and our rules of laws trying to break in illegally in violation of our rules. They don't respect our country. Which brings me to the next reason. People who have no regard for the laws of this country will likely have no regard for the laws once they're in this country, and thus we will see a rise, an escalation in disorder. Just another reason, but I'll give you a leftist reason. Economic instability. We cannot adequately plan for a large influx of low-skilled workers. Left doesn't like calling them low-skilled workers. I don't care. Call them whatever you want. What ends up happening is you've got 10 laborers, Americans, and they say, we charge $20 an hour. Then 10 more migrants show up and say, yeah, we can work. And they go, okay, well, I'll hire these guys. They're cheaper. And then you displace the market and you hurt the middle class. And the reason I bring this up in the context of McConnell, McCarthy, and the Omnibus bill is that they're not getting it done. Look at this. How Title 42 is complicating Biden's border policy. One of the big components of the Omnibus bill was that they were trying to get an amendment in to extend it. Title 42 basically says if someone enters the country and they want to seek asylum or whatever, they got to wait in Mexico. With it ending, we are going to see a massive influx of illegal activity on our borders. And you know what? They couldn't get the amendment passed, so they just passed it anyway. And now here's what we have to contend with. The Texas National Guard is securing the border with razor wire and military vehicles. Enhanced security measures are part of Governor Abbott's invasion declaration. That's where we're at. Razor wire and military vehicles on the border. But those people know they're not going to do anything. And nobody's going to shoot an illegal immigrant trying to cross the border. Maybe back in the day, but not now. Maybe, however, the traffickers and the people who are abusing women. But there's more. Oh, there's so much more. We got a statement from Donald Trump, one I can respect. Our country is under invasion. Trump releases 2024 immigration policy. This has nothing to do with asylum. Anyone who pretends otherwise plays into the hands of Biden and the criminal cartels. From Donald Trump. This should have been the statement he put out when he did the NFT thing. This is the one that's actually shocking to me. Take a look at this picture. I'm impressed by this. The winding makeshift border wall made from shipping containers runs through several miles of national forest along the U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona. This is a photo of a fake border wall. Well, I should say it's a literal border wall, but it was makeshift. Shipping containers stacked on top of each other. It's not the hardest thing in the world to climb over, but a barrier is a barrier. Here's the news. Arizona agrees to dismantle border wall made from cargo containers. Governor Doug Ducey agreed to remove the barrier after the Biden administration sued, accusing the state of trespassing on federal land and damaging the environment. They are gutting this country on purpose. Hey, look at this. I love international relations. I love international cooperation. I love me some international trade. I love me the idea of a world court. I said the idea of, because I'm not so convinced that the world court currently is good. Here's my view of how the planet should be. I'll call it like a global republic system. I think that war is bad, and we don't want war. I think most of you would agree. War is bad. We don't want war. Okay. Let's talk about solutions. How do we, as a nation, prevent war? Well, you can do the liberal economic order thing and world police. That's bad because that just means war. Or you can have an international assembly of world police, which has very, very weak power and authority and no authority to actually enter into a country to enforce laws. I'll put it this way. The United States and its borders should be secured. The United States shall rule over its own land and protect its people because we are a community. Outside, people can do what they deem necessary. They can have their laws. They can vote for the government they want. And then, when conflict arises, there is a world court which seeks to prevent major conflict and rectify. We haven't seen that with the United States. That's not what's happening. I'm not so convinced it could happen necessarily, but it's preferable to war, at least the idea. Perhaps it's utopian. The ideas that we're facing now, a porous border, billions of dollars being sent off to Ukraine instead of our own borders, our own workforce, our own country. What is actually happening with these global elites is they don't care for a global Republican society. They want a global democratic society. I mean, it really does feel like we're living in a simulation. There's the Republic and there's the democracy. Then you have the Republicans and the Democrats. Isn't it funny how that works? In a republic, we get to mind our own business. That's it. That's all that matters. In our borders, you have no authority. Outside of our borders, the world court, that's where they get involved. And instead of there being a major conflict, there would be administrative sanctions and things like that. I don't know if such a system is possible, to be completely honest. I just kind of hope it does. I am, you got people who claim, I love this. There are people who are like, the real battle is globalist versus nationalist. And I'm like, yeah, kind of, but like not really. Because I think a place to be that's good for all of us is that there is an international system of cooperation to adjudicate conflicts between nations, borders, etc. But that within our own borders, you can't do anything. Sorry. You can't come in here and do whatever you want. As opposed to how the United States works, where the federal government can actually go in and screw around. No. I'm saying, like, you can't come into the United States. But if, like, Afghanistan invades a country, then I'll put it this way. Here's kind of how I see it. Let's say you have this world system, right? And then you can deal with international criminal law through that. There is a world court. Let's say that someone declares war or invades. Let's say Canada invades the United States. The United States then has the option to call upon the world system and say, please come in and repel this. But your sovereignty remains your sovereignty, and the world authority figure essentially can only be underneath the nation. Meaning, if you operate within the U.S., you operate under the orders of the U.S. But that's only if they welcome you in. I guess it's a utopian kind of hope that we can get to a point where instead of full-scale warfare, we have adjudication that everyone abides by. In the meantime, what we're actually dealing with is a government that is just gutting the country, extracting its value, basically burning it to the ground. Final funding bill includes $45 billion for Ukraine. You know, this is the pathetic and dirty game they play. The final amount included in the year-end must-pass omnibus bill means Ukraine will get $8 billion more than the $37 billion that President Biden asked Congress for last month. Bravo. Bravo. Broken down, the funds include about $11.9 billion to replenish U.S. weapons stocks that have been dipped into since February 24th. Yeah. A summary of the supplemental aid also noted that $9 billion will go to the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, which offers efforts to train, equip, and provide intelligence support to Ukraine's military. Another $7 billion will go towards U.S. European Command Mission and intelligence support, pay, equipment, and related activities. Yeah. In addition, $300 million is meant for advanced nuclear reactors and blah, blah, blah. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Daily Mail's got a report out. The FBI, the CIA, they've infiltrated all these big tech companies. They explicitly work on misinformation. They are seeking to control the narrative, to manipulate us because they're evil. They're evil people. Let's see who's this guy. In a video posted on Facebook's website, Aaron Berman, the president's former briefer at the CIA, explained how he is the manager of the team that writes the rules for Facebook. He's evil, right? And I'll explain to you what I mean by evil. These people think that they can operate in secret to subvert the United States and the will of the people, to control it because they're smarter than you. They're better than you. Now, let's be real. There are smarter people and there are stupid people. And boy, are stupid people hard to work with. But here's my worldview. My worldview is that we are each independent individuals who are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that means that you cannot impose your will on me without my consent. But this is exactly what they're doing when they take jobs at Facebook and then seek to manipulate. Aaron Berman is the president's former briefer at the CIA turned senior policy manager for misinformation at Meta. Yeah. He left his job at the CIA in July 2019 to become a senior policy manager for misinformation at Meta. These people are evil people. They think they're smarter than you. They think they're better than you. They think they should be in control of you. And they justify it by saying psychotic things like, you know, if I don't do it, someone else will. Or if I don't do it, this country could be destroyed, blah, blah, blah. We're not supposed to be the world police. It's not supposed to be this way. But these people think that there is a way to rule the world in secret, controlling people's hearts and minds. I am not naive. I recognize that if the U.S. was left to randomness, it could potentially collapse. That if the U.S. did not have a unified culture or vision, Russia and China, they could take over. But I also believe that these people are addicted to the machine that they have built. I believe that decentralization will likely lead to a stronger and more robust country. We'll have better technology. We will have better weapons. We will be more influential. Instead, what we've gotten over the past 100 years is an increasingly authoritarian and centralized power structure that's become addicted to itself, terrified that if it gives up control, Russia or China would take over, when in fact, they're probably the ones who are propping up Russia and China in the first place. So here we are, learning now that all of this horrifying stuff, so many former CIA and FBI are working at big tech companies and probably watching videos like this. Which is probably why when I made several YouTube videos about a particular CIA agent, they were removed without notice. And why at Facebook, if you said the name of a particular CIA agent or analyst, I believe, your post would be removed. Yeah, we snuck a few by them. But they were actively going through and deleting posts without notice if you named a guy. Because they're evil. Evil as evil comes. The world should not be this way. Perhaps it is naive to think we could defeat the powers of the Chinese Communist Party in a totally decentralized system. But my view is simply this. The ends don't justify the means because you'll never meet the ends. That is to say that if you, at Facebook, intelligence assets and agents, think that manipulating people through censorship will help fight back against these other countries, I got bad news for you. You basically made that country here at home already. You've already lost. But maybe they're in on it. Maybe. and I think this is probably true, they're trying to help China win. They like the Chinese Communist Party. They like unilateral control. And thus, evil people, they're in these companies. Deborah Berman, former analyst at the CIA, is a trust and safety manager who wrote, I am fortunate to have been spared meta layoffs today. Unlike Elon Musk, our leadership clearly values trust and safety. Blah, 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 blah. That's right. Chris Rose, political and counter-terror analyst at the CIA, joins Meta's oversight board. Oh, it's so weird. So interesting how all that is. So I'll tell you what I think. I said it before and I'll say it again. The reason why my channel is allowed to exist is because these people allow it to. I can't tell you exactly why. I can appreciate being able to insult them directly and call them evil to their faces. But I think they treat us like livestock. They don't treat you like another person. They think they're smarter than you. They think they're better than you. They think they know everything. And they treat us like livestock. I believe that my shows are probably tolerated because they're just moderate enough. Yeah, there's got to be a pressure release valve for dissent. Otherwise, people revolt. Whatever it is, the game, I can only tell you one thing. These people have never explained to the American people why they do what they do, and that makes them illegitimate. Period. They may have an internal justification for how they're protecting us. They may actually be. You know, I see those stories where the employee doesn't understand why the manager does what they do, and they complain about it. And you're like, if only you knew the hard work the manager did. Stop being so arrogant. Oh, I'm not so arrogant. I fully recognize there's a strong possibility many of these people actively are fending off threats. The unfortunate thing is we're not a corporation. We're a country. And that means they have to justify what they do to us. But they don't. So long as they don't, they will not get my defense. And they can make all the arguments about how if we revealed that information, it would be a detriment. Too bad. You're either of, for, and by the people, or you're against the people. I'll leave it there. Congratulations, Republicans. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. This will be the last show of the year. We're taking next week off, but we're going to have a big show, hopefully, on our first day back in the new year. Should be very, very exciting. So thank you all so much for hanging out. Become a member at timcast.com, and we will see you all tonight at TimCastIRL.